Alright folks, looks like we've got another video on the great Jimmy Dore today. Now, as you guys know, there's absolute breaking news. That is that Cenk Uygur has decided to swear off all endorsements. That means that the endorsements that came from Ro Khanna, Nina Turner, and Bernie Sanders have all been rescinded. He can't accept any of them. That is what he had said. This is because of a lot of controversy of his old statements. Now, there's a question as to whether or not it was Bernie who told Cenk, hey man, I need to get rid of this endorsement for my campaign, so we got to figure something out here. And Cenk was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to pull out. Or if it was Cenk who by himself thought, oh, I don't want to jeopardize the Bernie campaign, and therefore I'm going to, basically rescind his endorsement. So I don't know which way, you know as well as I do, because honestly I don't have any inside info, unfortunately. So I really don't know which one happened here. But what we're talking about here is we're talking about Jimmy Dore's commentary on this. Now, Jimmy's overall point is pretty much right. It's kind of right, pretty much right. And his is basically that either you made a mistake endorsing him or you made a mistake, rescinding the endorsement, right? Which, yeah, one or the other, it is true. Now, what I want to talk about here is a more overarching topic of his feelings about Bernie Sanders, his coverage of Bernie Sanders, and most importantly, his obsession with Tulsi Gabbard. Everything that he talks about somehow gets rerouted to Tulsi Gabbard. I don't know how it is. I have this video here for you, and then I also have another tweet. So make sure to stay till we finish this stuff to get to the tweet, because the tweet made me laugh uncontrollably. So what we're going to look at here is Jimmy Dore, and this is going to be an exhibition of what I'm trying to explain to you as Jimmy Dore believes that Bernie Sanders is Thanos, and that Bernie Sanders can do whatever he wants. He's Allah, he's God. He can just snap his fingers and boom, everything he dislikes just disappears. But let's go ahead and hear this clip out.
I love Bernie. I love how he's been consistent. I hate how him and his campaign can't stand up at all. They wouldn't stand up for Nina Turner when they kicked her off the convention stage. And who did they have talk on the convention stage? They kicked off a black woman and put on Michael Bloomberg, a billionaire racist who instituted stop and frisk. He got to talk, not Nina Turner. Bernie didn't do anything. They ripped his delegates, their credentials, wouldn't let them in to the convention hall. Bernie didn't do anything. They turned the lights off on them and put sound cannons on his delegates at the convention. He didn't do anything. They said we're keeping super delegates. He's okay with it.
What? What do you mean he's okay with it? How do you know he's okay with it? When has he ever said that he's okay with super delegates? And so when I watch this clip, what it tells me is, right, he brings up examples of these very tiny things that it's impossible. You're talking about one human being who is shouldering the entire progressive movement. Two shoulders. One human being, okay, who's essentially embodying this massive progressive movement. And so you're this commentator, who's basically he's literally in his basement. And he's like criticizing Bernie Sanders for all these little things that he doesn't do, because he's literally unable to do those things. And so it's really ridiculous to me that he would have these insane, and it's impossible to please Jimmy Dore unless you come on his show and give him shout outs on the campaign trail. And under those circumstances, then you could do whatever you want as a candidate. It doesn't matter. But when you're talking about thinking that Bernie Sanders is God and he has the ability to do everything, he has the ability to multitask everything, right? Like, seriously, you're talking about something like Nina Turner getting kicked off of the convention stage to give a speech. You're talking about a guy who has a chance to become president of the United States, and you're mad over him not taking action over something that small? Are you absolutely kidding me? And the extreme stress and troubles that Bernie will have is that he has to win the Democratic primary, right? So he has to juggle everything is what he has to do. He has to figure it out. He can't just cater to every fringe, online left-wing personality that he wants to, Jimmy Dore really is under the impression that Bernie Sanders can just fix whatever he wants. And the superdelegate thing is like, what do you mean he's okay? When has he said that he's cool with superdelegates? When has he ever said that? I mean, you're talking about like, when has he ever said that he's okay with superdelegates? That doesn't make any sense. He wants him to basically be out there nonstop, completely going after everyone. He talks about, like, the unity tour there and everything. Like, this guy's trying to win. He's trying to win a Democratic primary, right? So he's expecting him to do everything. Literally everything he's got to do. Every single thing. So everything Jimmy Dore wants him to do. And this is the problem, is Jimmy Dore has set up this impossible standard to reach, where you have to do every little single thing. If Jimmy Dore gets in his basement, turns on his recording, and he gets mad about something, Bernie better fix that. Superdelegates, Nina Turner not being able to speak at a damn convention, who cares? Those are such minor things that is totally getting in the way of what is a ultimate goal of becoming president of the United States. And this is what really angers me and pisses me off about Jimmy Dore. Now, what you've also got to understand is the Jimmy Dore squad, that being his show, they are always happy to jump on the Bernie campaign, especially the people who are the advisors and the staffers and the strategists, because Jimmy Dore, okay, the Jimmy Dore Show, Bernie Sanders will not come on the Jimmy Dore Show. That means that some advisor or someone on the Bernie camp was basically like, yeah, it's probably not a good idea to go on the Jimmy Dore Show, so let's stay away from that show, right? All the other shows are fine, Majority Report, Secular Talk, TYT, whatever. It's fine, but Jimmy Dore Show, no. So he's still pissed, and the way that he talks about Bernie Sanders, there's clearly like some hurt feelings left from him. He clearly has some hurt feelings left. And it's really infuriating to watch, because you're talking about something so serious, and he's taking this little thing and he's using these incredibly impossible purity tests and like standards that you have to reach to qualify to be Jimmy Dore's candidate. And it's really, really infuriating. And then somehow they end up talking about, they bring up Tulsi Gabbard in this video. They talk about Tulsi Gabbard is the one who really stands up, you know? So again, it's this trend of making every little possible thing about Tulsi Gabbard. Anything that you talk about, bring up Tulsi Gabbard. Okay, that's what they do. And they even talk about in this video later on about how, you know, Bernie Sanders like uses CIA talking points or something like that, which is absolutely insane. And that, you know, he talks about how all these people are good guys, when Tulsi Gabbard was saying that it's all good for Ellen to be buddies with George W. Bush. Like, what kind? It's just so weird to me. It doesn't make any sense. And again, ridiculous stuff going on. So, in addition to this, right, there's this hilarious tweet that I could not stop laughing at, because, again, it's this trend. And I don't know if Jimmy Dore is just legitimately dumb or what it is, but optics are a huge thing for any public figure, right? Optics, right? How are you going to look by doing something? When you talk about sending out a tweet like this, you are telling everybody, hey, I'm essentially obsessed with Tulsi Gabbard. Here's what happened. There is a strike that's going on by, I believe, like the campus workers or the cafeteria workers at Loyola, Maryland, which is, I guess, where the next Democratic debate is supposed to happen. Yang, Bernie, Warren, and I guess Biden are all saying that they're not going to cross the picket line. And he sends out a tweet saying, the Democrats are so horribly deaf to workers' voices and concerns that Bernie, Warren, Yang are now to join Tulsi Gabbard in boycotting Dem debates. It's almost like Tulsi Gabbard and Jimmy Dore have a deal or something, where it's like, oh, anything that happens, just mention me. Like, I don't know if that's a campaign strategy or what it is going on here, but just randomly throwing Tulsi Gabbard in there. Tulsi Gabbard's boycott it's literally completely irrelevant to this. And also, Tulsi Gabbard's boycott, although my understanding is they did kind of like just throw out polls that would have let her in, but I'm not sure if there were enough of those to let her into the debates. But again, like I explained, it's kind of like this type of thing where it's like, oh, you know, telling the NFL not to invite you to the NFL Combine because you're not going to come, or telling the Lakers that, you know, don't offer me a max contract, I'm not going to accept it. It's like, you know, they were never going to give you that anyways. So it's really this very, very odd thing where he brings Tulsi Gabbard into everything, man. There's no connection between any of these. And I see a lot of people in his responses, actually. Like, if you look in this tweet, you know, like this one is basically, making fun of him. This one says, Jimmy, you need to end your poly crush with Tulsi Gabbard. It was hard for me too, but I also moved on. She isn't going to be the nominee. It's time to choose and fight. Giving Tulsi credit for this is pretty disingenuous. She at no point cited Unite Here workers as a reason for skipping. And then this moron, who's, again, one of these Tulsi culters, I guess, down here, says she stated there were many reasons. Yeah, right. So now we're supposed to be these psychics who knew, Tulsi Gabbard is all envisioning and knows. She's, she knows everything. It's like, wow, dude. She knew before us that she was boycotting. She didn't tell us that she was boycotting because of the strike. But she knew. Trust me, she knew. It's like unfalsifiable. It's insane, dude. It's absolutely insane. This one's funny. Sometimes it appears that Tulsi Gabbard knows things that no one else knows until they know. And by the time everyone knows, she's long gone again. So, listen, man. I mean, these people are kind of crazy. So, there's some people here who are like loonies who legitimately believe this kind of thing, like Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, basically, at this point, like with comments like this, kind of like, okay, Tulsi Gabbard has essentially now become a cult. I mean, if that's not telling you this is a cult, I mean, I just don't understand. And then this one says, love the spin that you claim to be so admittedly opposed to. More power to Tulsi for boycotting, though she didn't qualify. She never mentioned a picket line her decision. So again, man, it's like even his own fans see this. And this is what I'm trying to tell you, dude. Why would you send this out? Even if it's your opinion, look at it and be like, do I want to provide literal, hard-proof evidence that I am indeed obsessed with Tulsi Gabbard? Do I want to do that? If you have two brain cells to rub together, you would be like, yeah, it's probably not a good look, so I'm probably not going to do that because I don't want to fully prove and give even more solid evidence that I am indeed obsessed with Tulsi Gabbard. And Tulsi Gabbard needs to drop out. And I don't want her to endorse Bernie because Tulsi Gabbard is at 5.7 in New Hampshire. A lot of that percentage can go to Bernie. So essentially what she's doing is she's just taking votes from Bernie. As you guys know, you need to hit 15% in that single state to get any delegates. So she's going to get no delegates while taking percentage away from Bernie. And every piece in these early states is huge in these races. But I don't want her to endorse Bernie. It's just going to make it more difficult for Hillary voters to vote for Bernie once he wins. So it's going to make it more difficult to unite. And she doesn't really offer anything anyways. So Tulsi Gabbard, man, Jimmy Dore has completely compromised himself. And this is just, once again, another reason why Jimmy Dore is just terrible and why I don't watch him.